and we're live with Paranormal Dash Spirits. This is a podcast where we get our booze on, and we talk about booze, as in the paranormal type, and we do it with all our favorite booze. My name is Michael Black. My wife is Alyssa Black. My best friend, John Burkett. And we're here to talk about all the spooky stuff tonight. So,
spooky.
As we have promised, we will do a drink of the day with every show. And since we love to drink...
Wait.
Responsibly.
Responsibly, of course. But we do love to drink. We love to drink good liquor. This right here is an excellent liquor. This is Green Spot. Green Spot is an Irish whiskey. And that's about all I know about it. John, what can you tell me about it?
This is a single pot still Irish whiskey.
Ooh, that sounds...
This is distilled in traditional copper stills.
So, as opposed to...
the big, I forget what you call them. They're the vertical stills.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what the name, what they're actually called.
But these are the old...
This is
like Granddad would have...
Yes.
Great-granddad.
Yeah,
great-great-granddad
looks like a
would have
big,
made.
giant copper turnip.
Ah, I got you. Yeah,
You know.
okay. Makes sense.
And
Column still.
column still, thank you. That's what I was
There
looking
you
for.
go.
Right. When you cook it in a pot still, it makes a richer flavor. It's this is made out of malted barley and unmalted barley, as opposed to Scotch or something which is 100% malted barley. So
Awesome. So
Does that mean it's going to taste better?
I don't know about that. I mean, the Irish way is malted and unmalted, whereas the Scottish way is all malted. So single malt Scotch. This is basically the Irish version of a single malt Scotch. But
Okay.
So I get... That's nice.
oh, and this is aged in old ex-American bourbon cask and Spanish sherry casks.
Really?
Yeah, so it's
That's why it smells a little bourbon-y.
For a more complex flavor. Okay.
Cilantro.
Cilantro.
I think you just say sláinte this time.
Sláinte.
So it's actually Irish.
Yes, okay. So different from like your typical like bourbons or whiskeys.
See, I'm not a huge fan of bourbon, and I realize I'm from Texas, and that's probably some kind of horrible thing to say.
Sort of blasphemous.
It is.
Comment.
Yes, I know. But I prefer Irish whiskeys. My favorite are...
You like a malt better than a corn base.
I like Jameson. I love Jameson Black Barrel. I like Bushmill's Prohibition recipe. I think those are like
Redbreast.
Redbreast.
Oh.
There's another one that's like the angels sing.
It is
when you drink Redbreast, you know. So yeah, I prefer Irish whiskeys.
I'd like to listen to the angels sing with Redbreast. That needs to be on the list of things. Is this inexpensive?
Redbreast is about $67.
So what is the price point on the Green Spot?
This one's just under 60, I think, is what.
Okay. And this is in a
around the same
family of spots?
There is a Green Spot and there's a Yellow Spot. Now, the Yellow Spot is supposed to be... the Yellow Spot is 12 years, isn't it?
Yellow Spot is an aged product. This is a no age statement product. So
Right.
This is like a silver tequila.
no, this is aged.
No, it's
Oh.
aged. It is aged.
My bad.
But the Yellow Spot is aged 12 years.
Which means that every juice in there, it could be 12 years, it could be 15 years, but the minimum is 12.
What's this?
I think this is 5.
Probably at least 5. At
Yeah,
least
something like
it tastes older than 5.
It does. But we'll say...
I would say it's around that bourbon sweet spot, probably of around 8.
Yeah.
7 to 8.
That makes sense. But the Yellow Spot is about twice as much. It's about 100
It's a little over 100.
110, 112 bottles, something like that.
There's a red spot too, I believe.
Oh, there is? But normal folks like us can't afford it, right?
Probably.
I don't get a whole lot of the barrel in this. I get I mean, I get
Taste
some,
the malt,
obviously.
that's for sure.
You
I
can
would
taste
like-
the malt, though, for sure.
I would like to inform you there's a gold spot,
Oh.
green spot, red spot.
Are you doing your sexy voice on purpose, or
Absolutely.
Radio, the midnight DJ voice.
is that why you're all up in your mic like that?
I think so.
Okay, you can. You don't have to do that.
Y'all,
Okay.
you don't get all up in your mic until I'm gone.
So apparently there's a. Oh, hang on. It wants my birthday. Just a second.
Can't you keep it, or do you have to give it your
It
birthday?
doesn't. I can't see my beautiful face to know. Oh, apparently there's a green spot, yellow spot, red spot, blue spot.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
yeah, Blue Spot. I forgot about that.
I didn't
I'd
know
heard
about
that
that.
there was a.
The spot whiskeys. Single pot still Irish whiskey. They're called
And-
the spot whiskeys.
I will say that it has an excellent flavor. It is extremely smooth, and this is the green spot, and this is, I guess, the bottom rung on that ladder.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bottom rung whiskey.
No, it's not a bottom rung whiskey. It's the bottom rung on their particular ladder, I think.
And apparently, so it goes green spot, yellow spot. Then there's a green spot that is the Chateau Level Barton.
Yeah.
So it's aged in wine in ex wine casks, I guess. Or
All right. And then there's a green spot, Chateau Montanelna in Napa Valley. It's with the Napa Valley stuff. Then you have red spot, which is 15 years. Blue spot is 7 years. Yellow spot is 12.
Okay.
oh,
So you have 3 green spot editions, and you get a blue spot at 7 years, a yellow spot at 12 years, and a red spot at 15 years.
Okay, those are on my bucket list then.
yeah, just like
All the
there's a
spots.
Redbreast 15 that's definitely on my bucket list, but is
And apparently, and if you go to their website, they actually have like mixologies. So that's cool. You can mix it with some,
Nice.
which
I
I
don't know
realize you're
why
not
you-
into mixing.
that's,
No
that's-
cocktails.
That is blasphemous.
Yeah, I don't know why you
No
would do that.
cocktails. But so just so we know, there we are.
If you want to make an Irish whiskey cocktail, just use Jameson or Bushmills or something. You don't use
Spots.
Spots
No
or
Spots.
Redbreast or
Okay. I don't really know how to judge this like I do tequilas, but
Yeah, you're all into the tequila.
I do like
I
that.
don't taste the sherry cask influence too much. It tastes more like a bourbon cask.
It does, to me as well. Yeah, I agree.
It's good.
Very good. Very
I'm
smooth.
terrible at coming up with descriptive, ooh, taste of raisins and
I don't get raisins.
no, not at all. And that's why I don't taste the sherry casket, because usually something that's a lot of sherry cask influence, you taste like raisins, dried fruit type,
Right.
more intense flavors.
Oh, apparently they also now have a green spot Quail's Gate. It's a Canadian collaboration. Just so we
Canadian
know.
whiskey tastes like poverty.
Tastes like, well, there we are. There's a descriptive.
Americans should always drink bourbon or rye. Scotch whiskey tastes like treason, and Canadian whiskey tastes like poverty. I'm not sure who said that, but
Oh my God.
Oh, my.
Okay. So we've talked about our booze and we've discussed our green spot Irish whiskey. So you kick it off tonight?
I am. I'm doing the BOOS today.
BOOS goes to Alyssa tonight.
That's me. So, I am a person that likes haunted hotels. Now, I am new to the ghosty world. I'm not a huge believer necessarily. Haven't had a lot of experiences. Not that I don't believe, but I don't have a lot of experiences. Stayed in some haunted hotels. Supposedly haven't had a whole lot of experiences. Do some research on some of those, to include the Crescent at Eureka Springs, Arkansas, which is one of the most well-known. We recently went to San Antonio and visited the Alamo, stayed at the Crockett Hotel, which is known to be haunted. We stayed at the Minger many years ago, about
San
a
Antonio.
decade ago.
Right across from Alamo
And
as
it
well.
is very well known for being haunted. And then right catty corner to those, adjacent to the Alamo, is the Emily Morgan, which is also the third most haunted hotel in the world.
That's
never
what
even
I
heard of that.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That I had read that recently. That Emily Morgan, because I knew about Minger. Obviously, we stayed there in the Crockett. I knew that one was haunted,
Right.
and of course the Alamo and but the Emily Morgan I had never really heard about before. And then when I read about it, it's like third most haunted
In the world.
world.
Yes,
That's
in the
that's
world.
pretty
That's-
significant.
yeah.
What are 1 and 2?
Yeah, right.
I don't know, and I don't. People would think the Stanley, but I actually don't think that hits the mark or makes the list. I'm not really sure. I just know that was something for another research day. But but it is supposed to be truly haunted. We would have stayed there. However, it's a little cost prohibitive.
You've been wasting my time at the Riverwalk Marriott.
Yeah,
You should. Yeah, the Omni is one that's over there that's actually supposed to be really nice if you're not into the haunted variety. But
So the Emily Morgan's expensive.
well, it's anywhere between $250, $350 a night for your general like.
So I will preface any trip that you take to San Antonio to go to the Riverwalk and to see the Alamo. Any hotel that sits adjacent to the Alamo is going to be expensive. It just
And haunted.
Yeah, and haunted.
But they literally are
least they're
adjacent.
gonna sell
Like
that.
you have the Alamo. If the Alamo was your center contact, like space, you have like the Minger to the north, the Crockett to the west, and then the Emily Morgan to like the south. And so they're literally all right here. You can see them all. Like honestly, the Crockett and the Minger, they share parking. Like they're right there together. And the reason why they're so haunted is because that's apparently where the battle took place.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
I think a lot of people, especially those who are not from Texas, if you look at the Alamo and they see the Alamo, that's just the
That's
mission.
just the mission.
That's just the building that was there.
Yeah, the actual fort built around it much larger.
was much larger.
Much larger and encompassed some of
I got a really great picture too, so I'll have to put that on the website. But those are for another day. I'm actually going to a different town in Texas. Texas, just so we know, very large state, obviously, but also has a lot of haunted hotels. So I recently took a trip to Fort Worth for a girls' trip with my
Girls trip.
girls' trip,
it's
girls'
my
trip.
cousins, and so we go somewhere every year. This was our third annual this year, and we went to Fort Worth. And a lot of people, if you're not from Texas, don't know about the Fort Worth Stockyards. It's a very iconic place because of its history, and there's actually a haunted hotel. It's called the Stockyard Hotel. And I don't really know where it fits on the register of haunted places, but it is on the National Historical Register for its area. So, and it's well known for being a place that Bonnie and Clyde stayed.
So there's a lot of those.
However, yes, it's true, but they the reason they think that is because of its location. But anyway, so the Stockyard Hotel, the history of it, let's just go with the Stockyards in general. 98 acres were used for livestock market. It was made famous when the railroads arrived in 1876. The Stockyards opened in 1880, and they were 206 acres. They started the packing houses to it's a lot of acreage, which is now in the middle of Fort Worth.
Right.
And they still do the cattle runs.
Yeah.
Which we stood around, and people get to stand around, and you get to watch this. And so you think there's going to be a lot of cattle, right? Yeah, it's like 8 longhorns. It's like 8 longhorns with like 4. But these longhorns are these massive. I mean, people see like Bevo when they go to like a UT game, but these massive beasts, right? And like you're just like, wow, this is cool. And there's 8, and you're like, and we're done. That's cool. But it's kind of cool. They still do that. The streets are still brick. There's still the old railroads that go through there. They're not working, but they're still there. They did start packing houses to increase the revenue back in 1880. And by 1907, which is when the hotel was built, there were 1 million cattle being sold per year.
Golly.
Take that in for just a minute about how many cattle that are. And that did include cattle, sheep, and hogs. All 3.
So these packing houses, I assume that is a slaughterhouse, an abattoir?
Yes. And so the Stockyards in itself were listed on the National Historical Register in 1976. So, the whole place. But the hotel history, the property was purchased in 1897, just the property, and the building was built in 1904 by Colonel Thanich. And he built a 2-story frame structure with balconies. It had a saloon, a billiard club on one end, and then furnished rooms for rent on the second floor. And then starting in December of 1906 and completed in March of 1907. So in just 4 months, which to me was pretty striking, that they then built an entire new floor. An entire new three-story brick. I'm sorry, they built a 3-story brick building on the eastern part of the property for a hotel.
So help me out with the dates again. So he built the first building when?
He bought it. He bought the property in 1897, built the first building in 1904.
Okay.
And it was a 2-story building.
So it's
A frame structure.
So what is that, 7 years? From the time he bought it to the time he built
The
it?
math is hard.
Yes.
Okay.
From the time he bought it, that's 7 years, but I don't know that they necessarily constructed it in that amount of time.
Right.
It was just saying. But I'm saying then in December of 1906 until March of 1907, so 4 months, he then built an entirely different 3-story brick building
Wow.
on the property for the hotel.
But that was when you had this huge boom of business from all the cattle coming through, right?
Right. And that's why he was building it.
Yeah, because he was making the money, because you figure it's 1 million cattle coming through. Well, how many people are coming through at that same time to drive
Right.
those cattle, to tend those cattle, et cetera.
And they said
so,
at
the population had to have been
They said at the
exploding.
time, the original building then housed, the businesses included a barbershop, confectionery, so candy-ish, real estate and insurance firms, and a restaurant. Then the new section housed the hotel, restaurant, doctor's offices, a contractor, and a bar. Then the lobby and the offices on the street level were on the street level, and then rooms were on the 2nd and 3rd floor. So the original wooden structure stayed commercial until 1913. So that was the one with the barbershop and the real estate firms. And then the wood frame was torn down and replaced with a new brick addition that also had 3 stories and a basement. And it was connected to the 3-story building that was built in 1907. So now we have 2 3-story buildings, one with a basement.
Wow, this guy's just...
And it was all completed before the end of 1913.
Wow.
So, and this is when the suites were added with private baths, because before then it was like a dorm.
Community.
They didn't, yeah, they had community baths.
A broth, not a brothel.
brothel.
Not a brothel.
I mean, there very well could
No
have been
brothel.
something like that.
I'm sure there's probably a brothel there too, but we're talking Fort Worth, we're talking Cowtown. You
Consider
know?
how rough and tumble it was back in the...
Now let me say
What I meant to say was hostel.
yes. Now let me say the private baths were added to the suites. They did have community baths on each floor, and those were built at this
okay.
time.
Yeah, gotcha.
Along with ceiling fans in every room,
Wow, highfalutin.
and then heat for the winter because
And
they
when was
added
this?
boiler rooms to the basement.
Oh, okay.
1913.
Well, yeah, they would
Wow.
have had that, yeah.
But still, I mean, you don't
But
think
I didn't
about
think
the
about
convenience
ceiling
of heat,
fans.
you know.
But ceiling fans in 1913, like I didn't even know that was a thing then.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, electricity,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
In a place like that, yeah, if you were in a more rural area, outside of the town, you might not have had electricity, but
Okay.
in
True.
Dallas and Fort Worth, they would have certainly had it.
So then so then in its heyday, so you're going through the 20s, 30s, it kind of took a dip in the depression, but then 40s, 50s, 60s, even in the 70s, it was ramping up. Like they had people there, to include Bonnie and Clyde. But in 1982, it was purchased by Young and Yater, which was it took a 2-year complete restoration of the hotel, and it reopened in April of 1984 as the Stockyards Hotel. The Thanich building, which the hotel is located within, was placed on the National Historic Register in 1983. And then it just recently, in 2022, was purchased by Hotel Drover, which is a group of people. So so now it's owned by more of a bigger conglomerate. So there are rooms, junior suites, and suites. And they all have something different. So you have rooms, you have standard rooms that are your general standard room. Then you have the outlaw rooms, which are larger than the standard room because they have a king bed and premium linens, along with a seating area and a writing desk. So then, if you'd like something a little bit more expensive, you can have the junior suites, to include the Victorian, the Bonnie and Clyde, which is the actual room 305, was occupied by the duo in 1933. And the reason why they stayed in 305 was because it had a good lookout spot of the bank and the police station.
Oh, convenient.
Right?
There's also the Cowboy Corner, Davy Crockett, and the Geronimo. Now let me tell you about this suite. There's a celebrity suite, which people like Garth Brooks, Willie Nelson, Tanya Tucker have stayed in. It includes a king bed with a sitting area, a fireplace in the bedroom, a marble bathroom, a living room that has a half bath for guests, and a sofa with a queen bed, along with a private deck with a hot tub. You may have that if you'd like.
Have you looked at the prices of these suites?
Yeah, they're expensive.
We're never staying there.
Yeah, where you're talking, I think it's what, $1,200 a night.
If you go in August, which I don't know why August is so much more expensive than say right now, but if you go in August and let's say you stay on a Friday night, you're going to stay in the Stockyards on Friday night. $1,199.
Which, I mean, if you get a marble bathroom and a living room with a private bath and a private deck with a hot tub, I mean, there is another suite called the Texas Suite, and it is the same as the Celebrity, but there's no mention of a private deck or a marble bathroom.
$1,200 to spend a night in
Well,
Fort Worth in August.
That's why people like Garth Brooks
Anywhere.
are staying there, though. Well, and let's just kind of, for reference, so this is, the Stockyards is like a very, like the actual Stockyards, it's not a huge place. It's probably 4 city blocks. You have a large rodeo arena.
Is it Gillies? Is that the nightclub?
Yes, Gillies is
the
there.
famous Mickey Gillies.
Yes.
So they have a Gillies in
Honky-tonk.
Fort Worth now?
Yes.
So that was outside of Houston.
Well, that's you're thinking. What, there's one in. There's a
Are
thing
you
in.
thinking of Billy Bob's?
No.
Billy Bob's Texas is the one in Fort Worth. Okay,
Okay,
thank
Billy
you.
Bob's is in Fort Worth.
Gillies was
Gillies is in Texas City, down by Houston. Yeah.
It's down by, was it not Pasadena?
Pasadena.
Yeah.
You're right. Pasadena, Texas City.
And
All
it
right
burnt
there.
down.
That's right.
I don't think it
Forgot
was
about-
rebuilt.
I get them mixed up. The two
Yeah, I don't think
famous
it-
honky tonks.
Yeah.
So
Billy
there's-
Bob's is the one in.
Yeah.
So,
so there's-
I played Billy Bob's back in the day, but that's another story. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
So you have the hotel that is literally in the middle of the brick streets. That there's like bars, restaurants. There's a very high end shopping boutique area. All within this brick streets. You can drive your car only to a certain point. You can drive your car
It's
through
like the
it.
West End in Dallas.
Yeah, you can drive your car through it, but it's got like certain parking you have to pay for that is not paved. It's dirt. And then there's an area, yeah.
It's still dirt.
It's still dirt for the
Like
parking
it's
area.
1883.
Yes.
So I'm going to take my Range Rover and I'm going to drive
Tesla.
my Tesla, whatever. I'm drive to the Stockyards and I'm going to stay at the Stockyards Hotel and pay $1,200 a night.
You drive your F-250 to
Well,
the Stockyards.
you know what
Right.
though? Hey, you know what? You can pull your car up. It's
And I'm going
20.
to park in dirt.
It is $20.
Like I'm at a pasture party.
$20 for valet parking, and they can go park your car in the dirt.
Well, that's true. That's cheap for valet parking.
And it's also pet friendly. $50 non-refundable deposit. You can bring your puppy dog, kitty
You have
cat.
to pay an extra deposit for the dog.
Yep.
No, you bootleg that Chihuahua in there. You don't.
There's also
I'm paying $1,200 a night for a room. You're going to let me bring my dog.
Oh, and don't and then when you get out, it smells like a farm. Like
Yeah,
it
'cause we
smells.
Stockyards.
I mean, it is the Stockyards. Like it is
It's
legitimate.
It's still the
It smells
Stockyards.
like cattle. Okay, and then you have these really. You can walk through the older part where the railway is all the way through the brick streets, and they've built little shops around it, so you can walk all the way down the brick streets on the actual railroad. The rail. What do you call those? Rails.
Mm-hmm.
And you walk down there, and then. So it's it's like 4 city blocks. This is not a large area, but it's cool because it's like right in the middle of town. And to know that this was this old. I mean, obviously the police station and the bank aren't there anymore where the Bonnie and Clyde were at. But when you read about it, there's apparently when you go to the Bonnie and Clyde suite, if you want to stay there, there is apparently they have a gun that was supposedly owned by her, a pistol that was supposedly one of Bonnie's, and in the room is she was a poet, and there's a poem that was there, and apparently it's very reminiscent of what happens to them. It's a love poem about how she knows they're not going to be together forever, and they're probably going to come catch her, but in this time when she was in there, they were in love.
Oh, they ended up together forever.
Oh, yes, they did. But they're actually not buried together. So they wanted to be buried together. They did not get their wish. The families did not agree, and they are not buried together. Though apparently they unearthed one of them, exhumed, and then buried them where they wanted to be.
Oh.
Really?
I heard that recently.
That's cool.
Yes. But so it's said to be haunted, not necessarily by Bonnie and Clyde, though.
I wouldn't think so. I think they haunt the
haunt
country road in Louisiana they were gunned down in.
Yeah, and maybe the car. The car, I think, is in Vegas.
I'm not sure.
The car is somewhere.
It's somewhere, yeah. A Peterson automobile. Maybe it's at the Peterson Museum in L.A.
It may be.
I'm not sure.
But so there's a couple of things though that did happen here. People have died here. The first one was in 1935. The stockyard weighmaster poisoned himself after quitting his job.
What's a weighmaster?
So, from what I understand, they weighed meat.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Weighmaster.
Weigh,
Okay.
Weigh. And then in 1938, there was Junior. Junior was a rodeo cowboy that was facing criminal charges for stealing money of today's equivalent of $40,000.
That's no misdemeanor thing.
Yeah, that's not.
Him and his
They
wife,
hang you for that.
Junior had a wife named Ada, who had shot him in the arm 4 years earlier to this. They had a couple of rows, little domestic issues. But in 1938, while at the Stockyard Hotel, he held a gun to his wife Ada's head for 30 minutes, but she escaped and ran down the hallway of the second floor, with Junior shooting after her and missing her every single time he shot at her. But then he turned the gun on himself, left a suicide note on the bed.
You know, he was
he died in the hallway.
shooting with the arm that she shot him in.
Oh, so his aim
So it was damaged and nerve damage, and he can't aim well.
or he
with
just
that arm.
sucked it.
Or maybe he just wasn't a good
Terrible
shot.
aim.
And then later in 1957, a rodeo performer shot himself in a room.
Oh,
So
that's two suicides. in
yes,
the same.
three suicides technically.
Oh,
Because the weighmaster poisoned
the
himself.
weighmaster, yeah.
Don't forget the weighmaster.
Apparently he had quit his job. His family knew he was down and out, and they were not surprised when he poisoned himself in the room. But there have been, so when you go and like review different paranormal activity, and there's people like in the comments that are complaining about your everyday things that you're going to have with an old hotel. You know, I didn't have hot water, whatever. Well, there's a couple of other things.
$1,200 a night. I better have goddamn hot water.
Yeah. So there's been talk about how like the elevator is haunted. People play in the water in the bathrooms. They hear jingling of spurs in the hallway. People getting into bed with them.
It's the Fort Worth Stockyards. You're going to hear
right,
spurs in
and
the
loud
hallway.
music. But so one of the stories, these people said they stayed in the Geronimo suite. And he says, as my wife and I arrived back to our room, my oldest son was lying on one of the beds watching TV and told us that the TV kept turning off by itself. I told him, how funny, you always wanted to stay in a haunted hotel and now you have your dream come true. So I laid on the other bed, grabbed the remote control, and sure enough, the TV kept turning off, changing channels, and the volume kept going up. It made it a chore to even watch it, but it was fascinated with the activity that was going on. He was fascinated. I thought we were going to see Geronimo stand in front of us for a second. When the TV turned off for the last time, I yelled out, if there is a ghost in here, turn the TV back on. Within 10 seconds, the TV turned back on. I sounded like Zach on Ghost Adventures. Did you see that? He said, it sent chills down my back and my son's back because we didn't know what to think anymore. Then the small antique-looking chandelier right above one of the nightstands started to swing, and as I go to stop it, the other chandelier above the other nightstand started to swing. My wife fell asleep without a care in the world of what we were experiencing, and so I told my son to just go to sleep. At 2 a.m., the damn TV turned on again with the volume really high. I yelled out to knock it off and forced myself to go back to sleep. In the morning, on our way to check out, I informed the front desk personnel of our experience, and she acted as if this was the first that she'd ever heard of it, but I could tell by her demeanor that it wasn't. I have a feeling that upper management instructed all personnel to play it off when a customer brings it up. That was our experience, and we loved it. Great hotel in the middle of the stockyard.
I could totally see that happening, though, from the perspective of management. If somebody comes up and tells you that, oh, well, it's a ghost, and you're not trying to promote it as a haunted hotel.
Yeah, but that's
if you're at the Crescent, it's different.
That's a cash cow.
But remember, that's seasonal. Think about it. There are times when it's really cool to hunt paranormal stuff, and it's times when it's like, oh, nobody cares. And so I think that for longevity purposes or for maintaining that, you don't want, if you're going to charge $1,200 a night for a suite, I don't think you're going to try to promote the fact that it's actually haunted. You're going to try to play that down.
Promote it as haunted, you get to charge $1,400.
Well, that very well may be. but I don't think that's their shtick.
Yeah,
is that it's haunted.
I've heard of other hotels that are that way that play that down.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then the other ones play it up.
And absolutely, and like Crescent, they'll it's haunted. I've seen this. I've seen that.
The
they
place
play it
that
up.
you remember when I went to that conference back in 2015 in Kansas City, that hotel, the old section of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So the old 1920s section of the hotel,
Right.
They actually had a little cutout of the blue lady and this whole story of the ghost that's supposed to be down there in that area.
Oh, wow.
I
That's
spent
cool.
an hour down there just.
So that was in July of 2016 that person wrote that. So then there's one about the elevators. I said people said the elevators. This person said, I'd just like to say firstly that the hotel is very nice, but do not go near the elevators. My sister and I stayed in room 214 on the 28th of July in 2010 and used the telephones at the back of the elevators to call back home in Australia. After a few minutes standing there and trying to work out the dialing codes, we both started feeling dizzy whilst the floor was moving and shaking like an earthquake. Both of us couldn't work out what was going on. Everyone around us appeared to be carrying on as normal, and we were trapped in some vicious field of energy. My sister walked away and asked the receptionist if the building was moving. She said no, and my sis explained that we'd been driving all day and that we must be really tired, and they were embarrassed. It felt as though we may have been drugged at one point. We knew there was no way of this, but... We then left the building and needed to sit down in fresh air at the front. We spoke to 2 staff members who revealed that the old elevator operator is known to haunt the elevators. I didn't get much sleep at all. I rang reception to ask for a Bible at 1 a.m. as I couldn't find one. I was skeptical about ghosts until now. If you want a free ghost experience, stay here. Good luck.
The Gideons missed that room, dropping the Bible off, I guess.
Then there was a story in 2020 about a girls' trip. So they were traveling around Texas. They started in Dallas, then Waco, and stopped off at the Stockyards in Fort Worth. They had booked a double room room 218 at the Stockyards Hotel because it was right on the strip and because Bonnie and Clyde had stayed there and thought that was pretty cool.
I thought they were 305.
They are, and I don't know why she thinks. Maybe she stayed in the Bonnie and Clyde and got the wrong room because they said it was 305 in their website. She said, I thought that was pretty cool. However, I had no idea it was haunted. We went to our room and turned the air down and went out on the strip. We walked around for a while and we decided to go back to our room to cool off because it was 107 outside. Not shocking in July. Let's just be honest.
We're in Texas.
When we got back to our room, we noticed it was still hot. The maintenance man came and told us they would have to move us because the air was not working. The staff was great. They moved us to room 207 and 208 with adjoining rooms. So each of us had our own room with a king-size bed with a door connecting them together. We went back out and ate supper and did some shopping and then came back and went to bed. I could not sleep. I was itching all over my body, so I took some anxiety medication thinking that was it. On each side of our bed, there were lampshades that hang by a chain. I was awakened at 3 a.m. on the dot. I looked at the alarm clock to something that hit the wall. I laid there for a little bit and the lampshade slammed into the wall again and then went perfectly still. I was frozen in fear. I could not move and I could not speak. I was scanning the room with my eyeballs because that was the only thing I could move. Then all of a sudden someone pressed down on my right knee and the lampshade slammed into the wall again.
I'm out.
So the lampshade is off the lamp. I don't know.
Yes, so then it slammed into the wall again. Then all of a sudden someone pressed down on my right knee and the lampshade slammed into the wall again, hard, and then went perfectly still again. I shot up out of my bed like a jack-in-the-box. I ran into my friend's room and jumped into her bed, scared her to death, and she was screaming. I laid in there with her for probably 15 to 20 minutes. I ran downstairs and told the guy working the desk and the valet guy. He was like, I wish you would have called me so I could have seen it. Then he went on to tell me stories about things that have happened there too. Needless to say, I got my stuff with the help of the valet guy because I was not going back by myself, and I got out of there. I had no idea it was a haunted hotel, but believe me when I tell you, it's haunted, and I'm not going back. But the staff was great.
But the staff was great.
She said, I gave it 5 stars because the location is great, the staff was great, and it's a pretty cool hotel minus the ghost.
You know, a lot of people pay extra for that experience.
Well,
you know?
absolutely. Well, look at, like me, I spent a decade, going around chasing after these things, and I say a decade as an adult, really going out and trying to catch stuff. Before that it was, going to places that were supposedly haunted. And so I would have laid money down for an experience like that. It's not really scary. It's just really cool that you get to see something moving of its.
You probably would have remembered to take your phone out and
I probably
record it, maybe.
I probably would have.
This is 2020. It's not like it was that long ago.
I mean, after a few experiences, you learn to take your phone out. But that the first time I
You're
ever
so scared.
experienced,
But if she was frozen, it almost sounds like a night terror. Like she was.
Yeah, but if the lamp is actually, I mean, we know this is a haunted hotel.
The lampshades don't get moved during night terrors.
True.
Nah.
And people usually don't sit on your knee.
Yeah,
Well,
that
they sit
would-
on your chest. Is
Well,
that
right.
where they
Yeah.
sit during night terror?
There is one more story, but go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So this is the most recent, November of 2022. So they checked in on a Saturday. We went up to our room to wash up and no hot water. I then visited the front desk to find out the boiler wasn't working with no answers of when it would be repaired. At no time were we told there was no hot water when checking in. We couldn't shower all day Saturday. On Sunday morning around 6:30 a.m. while we were sleeping, our sink starts splattering water on and off while the knobs were turned off. We woke up scared to see what was going on. We called down to the front desk and complained about the water that was squirting out of the faucet with it being turned off. He asked me to repeat what I had said. Then he asked me to come up and he asked if he could come up and see for himself. I even recorded on my phone thinking no one would believe me. He came in our room and said, "I don't know what to tell you." Now I'm scared and aggravated. He told me they couldn't get a hold of a plumber and had no idea when the hot water would be on. So then, with no explanation of the water squirting out, he turned the water pipes off under the sink and we had to wash our face and brush our teeth with sink in the tub.
At $1,200
Or with
a
water in
night,
the tub.
I'm out. And I want
And
my
so-
money back. And you're
right.
not charging
And
me
so,
for the room.
okay.
We're not done yet.
Yeah, okay.
Later that night, the hot water worked and we were finally able to shower. The night before leaving, we went to eat in the restaurant. When I gave the server my room number to charge the room, he gave me a weird stare. I said, "What's the matter?" Then I asked if there was something wrong with that room, and then he told me there are 2 rooms haunted, and my room was one of them. I said, "Are you messing with me?" He said, "No, ask any worker here." He called a female worker over, and she stated the same 2 rooms are haunted, that 2 people committed suicide in my room by jumping out of the window. I was so sick I couldn't sleep last night, and I couldn't wait to leave that room.
Okay. So, can't say that.
Sorry.
So, first of all, I want to go back to the water thing. So, if you've ever got air in your line,
Air in the lines is what I was thinking. But you still have to turn the
You have to turn
knobs
them on.
on for that to come out.
Okay.
They're
You're
saying the knobs are off.
okay, but let me tell you. Do you remember the story? And I know we talked about this at work. I think about during the time when Toyota had the lawsuits because something was messed up on one of the vehicles. Remember that? There was a big recalls and Toyota was having issues. And so this woman, thinking that Toyota was trying to hide stuff, she pulled up to a parking space and she stepped on the brake and the car lunged forward into the car in front of it. Now,
That sounds like an Audi in the 80s.
how about this instead? Instead of stepping on that brake, she actually stepped on the gas and she ran into the car in front of her.
Right.
So maybe, I'm just saying maybe, playing devil's advocate here, but maybe the water wasn't turned off and maybe it was on.
Maybe
So-
a little bit, or maybe it's old. Like I have one
Hardware.
in the hallway bathroom that if you don't just nut down and tighten the hell out of it, there's a drip. So
Right.
if you have air in the line, you will get.
And it starts that psh, psh, psh,
Yeah, exactly.
And we
Right.
already know the boiler's not working.
there you go.
That's checkout time right there. If
Yeah.
even if I paid $200 a night for the room, and you're telling me, well, we don't
There's
have
no
hot
hot
water.
water.
No, sorry, I'm going to stay at the La Quinta.
In my other one
I
about
know the water's
the
hot.
person saying, okay, so this room is haunted because someone jumped out the window and committed suicide, right?
That's what the workers said.
That's what the worker said. Okay, but it's only 3 stories high.
No, you could definitely die if you go ahead and
You
take a
can.
header.
You can, but the percentage of people that die from 7
I think it's 7 stories is actually only like
It's minuscule.
It's actually-
Oh man, how awful! Because you're just gonna
Minuscule.
break a bunch of bones.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
Yes,
might be jelly, but you're not going to die.
You're
like,
not going to die.
That
I
won't kill you.
fell 70 foot.
What?
Yeah, when I was in the service. I
And
fell
this-
70
yeah.
foot when my
collapsed.
parachute collapsed. 70 foot. Bam.
Owie! That's,
Yeah, it
that's
hurt.
that's why you have to
It
have
hurt
those
a lot.
injections in your knees.
Yes, that is why.
But I will say, lampshades hitting the room, and then I feeling somebody pressing down on my knee, getting in my bed. I'm out.
Yeah,
That-
that's
so the lampshade's moving?
No, being slammed against the wall.
yeah,
though.
that's
3 times she says that it happens, and then somebody presses on her leg and gets in the bed with her.
Yeah.
And that's when she was out.
I'm out.
I get that.
I'm gone.
The elevator thing, I mean, they've been known that the elevators are haunted. So, I mean, I don't really know. That could be...
That's the ghost of Otis.
I mean...
I'm going to let that one sit for a minute
Yeah.
while you think about it.
But honestly, the TV one, though, the TV on and off, on and off, on and off, chandelier shaking, they say, knock it off, TV comes back on. You know, like...
Yeah.
I mean...
I would probably just get angry and say, oh, listen, ghost, I'm trying to watch TV.
Yeah.
Turn it on, leave it alone.
We yelled at it, and he said to turn the damn TV off.
I know that in the haunted house that I lived in, one of them, there was a night when this ghost spirit, whatever, would take a pill cup that my ex-wife would leave on the vanity, and it would pick it up and tap it.
Like one of those paper, like the hospital?
No,
The
like the plastic ones. Like what you'd see
pill
like
cup.
on the top of like
okay.
a liquid
Gotcha.
medicine
Click,
bottle.
click, 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 click. And you knew what it was because you could hear it. You knew that sound, right?
I would not like that right next to my head.
It wasn't next to my head.
was in the
It was in the bathroom.
Oh, in the back.
Master
Okay, I thought you said
bathroom.
it was on the night.
I'm laying
The
in the bed.
ensuite.
Yeah, the
Gotcha.
Oh,
I
we
say
didn't
this
have
like
a-
I know. I don't know. This is his ex-wife. I don't know.
No, that's what an ensuite is. Like,
I mean-
like you guys.
So-
I know, but I'm
Right.
saying this like I know this story. I only know the
So-
story because I've heard it multiple times.
So it would click, 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 and it would do that night. And finally, one night, I'm frustrated. I'm like, stop! That's not impressive. You haven't done anything to impress me. I said, you've done this night after night. I said, it's just getting old. And then I hear this bam, 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 and I figured out. I went in there to try to figure out what this noise was from the loud bang. It was the hairbrush. Excuse me.
Did you say, bro?
No, I did not say bro. I thought, okay.
Oh my God, bro.
No, I did not say that.
Or like
But
he says in here, did you see that?
no, what I did say though was that's impressive. That's a lot more impressive than that pill cap. Just sitting there going.
I'd have thrown the damn pill cap away. I just tossed that out. That would have been the end of that.
The next morning, I get up and every light in the house is on.
Isn't that a song? Isn't that a country song?
Yeah, Trace Atkins, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, this was not a country song. This was a haunting. And this thing literally had flipped on every light in the house.
Wow.
Yeah, it was I said, why don't you, I told it, I said, stop doing this. This is boring. It's not impressive. Go do something that impresses me. So what it did was it went and turned every light in the house on. Promise.
I mean,
Scout's
No, I
honor.
believe you.
well, this
Scout's
place is old enough and a lot of things had happened to it. I mean, there's probably so many, people get killed in rodeos all the time.
Well, yeah, and I'm
So-
not saying that the room's not haunted. I'm
I
just
mean-
saying that it's haunted from somebody jumping out the window. That I highly do.
Right, but
Don't-
these other people
I mean,
that
no.
have killed themselves, these are just the ones that like you find like if you were just to research the history of it, like from way back, what's happened. So there's a lot of
There's always, like any hotels have been around for a long time, there's always suicides in them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
that's
sorry,
like
removing oneself from the plane of
Can you not say that
existence
word?
because I don't think you're allowed to say the S word on YouTube.
really. Well, I'll just have to bleep
You
it
have
out.
to check up on the new guidelines, but
well, I did read about
you
the
can say the
note in
P
the
word.
bed.
removing oneself from the gene pool.
But you can say the P word, but you
Yeah.
can't say the S word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
You can say shit. You just can't say the other.
well, I said it to describe the note that was left. But so you can stay here. You can see if you can experience it yourself.
Can't afford
to stay
Can't
there.
afford to stay there.
Now listen, that's just the suites. Like that's what the celebrity
Why-
suites and stuff. I think that an average
Why is there
room,
never a Staybridge Suites that's haunted
I will say there's a Hyatt. I think it's a Hyatt that's down like literally catty corner to the Stockyards, and it's your more new age type hotel directly across from the rodeo arena.
Is there a haunted Motel 6 there?
I don't know. You can check out the Hyatt. The Hyatt might be.
Because Tom Bodette will leave the light on for you.
He will. He will. I mean, we got an Airbnb that was at the TCU campus, so
Okay.
you could just stay there and just
that's-
drive
So
yourself
whatever.
to the
We are
Stockyards.
actually recording this on April the 13th, which is what day of the week? This is Wednesday.
Thursday.
No, this is Thursday now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's
now.
Thursday now, yeah.
Yeah. this is a Thursday now. So, John, Thursday night, we could travel to Fort Worth Stockyards, and we could spend the night. We could get a room for $429.
Is that just a normal room?
Can I say the F word in
No.
response to that price?
Because even we stayed at the Crockett for less than that.
Yeah,
you could stay at the Emily Morgan for less than that.
$29.
That's crazy.
Is that for
That
a
is
normal
crazy.
room?
Well, it's just the room that they show available.
Did you try Booking.com? The Priceline.
Yeah, I'm sure it's cheaper, but still, I mean, that's on their website.
Is there a Groupon that you can get?
I don't know, but that seems awful high to me.
So, just so you know, for reference, because we were talking about other hotels in San Antonio, the Emily Morgan is now owned by the DoubleTree, which is a Hilton hotel. And currently, right now, you could stay at the Emily Morgan, third haunted in the world, $135.
That's not bad at all. That's actually really good.
That's on
good.
Expedia.
I mean, that's less than a Holiday Inn
Priceline and
Express.
Booking.
Yeah, but I mean, is that okay? Now,
That's a one bedroom.
when we stayed
or
in the
one king
Minger,
bed.
I kid you not, that Minger was about twice the room that we were in. Was maybe twice as wide as this table.
I remember we walked in and I went, "Oh, this is definitely haunted." It's just so tiny, like you can just tell it's because they used to be
Right.
small.
But think about it. People
Not the
didn't
people, but the
take
rooms.
with them everything that they took with them now. You didn't have your CPAP. You didn't have your roll-in luggage.
Not everybody has the same.
No, I have a CPAP. I'm just saying, though, a lot of people do,
Right.
So,
You didn't.
not everybody has a CPAP.
People just
I
had
know.
your saddlebags and your pistols. That's it.
That was it, but now we have all this stuff that we have to carry with us so we can have all the amenities from home. And if you go to one of those rooms, there's not room for all of that.
Is there a refrigerator and a coffee maker? And
No.
No, and it's very like the toilets are updated. There's no clawfoot tubs because I'm a hard pass on clawfoots. I am
Really?
not. No,
They freak
no,
her out.
sir.
Why?
Hate them for one thing because in nursing school, I'm a nurse. Stayed at Russ State Hospital. Didn't stay there. I had to do. Excuse me.
How long was your
Let me-
stay at Russ State Hospital?
A couple of hours.
Talk about haunted. Now, you know.
Oh,
Haunted.
my
That's
God.
That's another podcast for not even haunted. We'll go there anyway. They still have the tubs in the bathrooms that they used to do for the ice baths for hysteria.
You know,
Still
ice
there.
baths are back in right now.
I know, but
Joe
they used to.
Rogan, Burt
I
Kreischer,
realize.
everybody's doing ice baths.
I
now.
realize, but they used to do that for hysterical patients because they thought that usually got them out of it because you're freezing.
You're in shock, yeah.
Of course, you're freaking not gonna freak out anymore. But anyway, so I have never peed faster in my life. Never ever have I ever because I mean freaking big long clawfoot tubs,
Oh,
like
man,
not your
people love
residential.
those.
No, not your
See, now,
residential.
I think-
still has the freaking. It still has like shower curtains in it.
See, I think those look so
Yeah.
cool.
Hard pass.
People will go seek out actual antiques, refinish the
I know.
iron, porcelain, refinish everything,
Right.
and put them in their houses.
Haunted.
Ex-
It just makes
I
me
think
feel
they're
haunted.
so cool looking. though.
Most
I
of
like-
them were in houses, not in mental asylums.
No, I know, but I think that just. Oh, and the other thing, the Stand. Have you ever watched The Stand, the new age Stephen King version of The Stand, where the mossy lady is inside it?
The last one I saw was the one that was like 1990.
Was it
the
The
one.
Stand, or what am I thinking of?
This is your story.
Am I
You tell
thinking
it.
of The Shining?
Oh, The Shining. You're probably
The
thinking.
Shining,
The
the lady
Shining,
in the
yeah.
bathtub?
Yeah, that's The
Yeah,
Shining.
that's Shining,
Okay,
definitely.
excuse me. Sorry, wrong horror flick. Clawfoot tub. Hard pass. Hard pass.
If
Well,
the
it's just
Stanley
about-
still has clawfoot.
I'm sure it freaking does.
I don't know, but nearly every horror movie has a clawfoot tub.
But I like these new versions, these pedestal tubs that we have in all these new homes. That's like, okay, you don't have to get the old school clawfoot. We'll just put it all on the floor where it's just a large base and comes up. I can do that. If it has feet,
That's an odd fear.
I'm out.
clawfoot tub.
I don't like them. They're
I
freaky.
don't like frogs.
What if the claws came alive? and
See,
reached around
exactly.
that?
See, these are the kinds of night terrors I guess I would have if no, a hard pass. Not doing that.
Yeah, I don't like frogs.
Not doing
That's
that.
my
Now,
thing.
I mean, great to give a clawfoot tub or walk in, 8x8 shower with a rainforest tropical thing. Oh, yeah, I'm taking the shower thing. Yeah, definitely. But
so I just decided to look at the Emily Morgan again one more time. Alamo View, $275, but still, that's a king bed with a garden tub. Not sure it's got claws, but it's a garden tub, and you can get an Alamo View for that.
That's not bad.
No, it's not $400, $1,200, whatever it is. The Stockyards.
And it's San Antonio, not
and
Fort
San Antonio's typical valet fee is $40 for every single one of their places.
I hate valet parking.
You have to there because there's no place to park.
It's not paranormal, but it's annoying as hell.
No, it might be paranormal in San Antonio. Might find Davy Crockett.
I love people to park.
You may find Davy Crockett in your car by the time you try to go get it. So
But they're going through your car. They're probably going through your GPS, finding your home address, so they can go.
That's why you don't set your home.
They don't care
Ever.
That's why you just use this through the Apple CarPlay, so
they
take
they
it
don't
with
care.
you.
They really don't care. They just want to get your car, get back, and get a tip.
So that is the Stockyards Hotel for anybody that ever like to go visit. It's pretty cool. It's just a cool place. A lot of people, just if you're a Texan around in this area, a lot of people go there for bachelorette parties, bachelor parties, all that, because you can pub crawl.
Right.
Because there's tons of
I would
bars
go to Billy
down
Bob's because I've never been to Billy Bob's.
Yeah. There's great food in Fort Worth.
Oh,
I mean,
I
it's
bet.
the sister city to Dallas. So, I mean, anywhere in depending on
Baby
traffic.
sister to Dallas.
It is the baby sister, but I'm saying it's close. So if you wanted to sit in traffic or if you're just a good time, you could just roll on over to wherever you want around the DFW area and get all kinds of good food. And
I think I've never. The only time I've ever stopped in Fort Worth, I went to a gun show at the Wilbur or the convention center one time.
I think everybody's been to a gun show in
Fort
Fort Worth. That's just like what you do in
well, then
Fort
you go to the
Worth.
Stockyards. It's pretty appropriate.
Other
you
than
know?
that, it's just the annoying trafficy part that you have to drive through when you're coming back from California.
Yeah, it's like
Get into
everybody
Dallas.
who's ever been to Fort Worth goes to a gun show in Fort Worth.
But it has.
It's just what you do.
But it's kind of cool. It's got its own
Or Billy
downtown.
Bob's.
It's got its own downtown. It's got a lot of character. Oh, we had fun. We went to a comedy show. Went to a great restaurant there.
I think they have some great. I
I
have a friend who lives there now. They go to a lot of nice restaurants.
They're
I
very
always see
nice.
on-
Yeah, it's happening place.
Yeah.
We
It's
actually
like-
went to the restaurant, and while we were waiting, there had been a wedding on the top floor. It was like it's a bubble room, and they had a wedding up there. And she came down in her dress and everything. I was like,
Probably
that's
real
cool.
estate.
So it's like, did you stay in
Super
a Holiday
live
Inn
there.
Express last night? No, but I did go to Fort Worth and went to a gun show.
I went to Fort Worth. I stayed at a Stockyards Hotel.
And went to
I
a gun
had the
show.
lampshade slammed against the wall while a ghost sat on my chest, and then I went to a gun show.
Right, you had to
And I
go.
paid
and I went to a gun show.
$500 to have the lamp thrown
I paid
against the
$500 a night to have no hot water, and then the lampshades.
Now I
smashed
will
against the wall.
say, the bar. There is a bar there.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. It's got a buffalo. So I think it's a buffalo butt that like divides the mirror of the actual
There's
mirror.
a lot of people in Texas with buffalo butts.
Wait a second.
It
Wait a
was
second.
legit.
So they have my ex-mother-in-law's butt mounted on the wall.
Listen, no. I mean, let's clarify. You said ex,
I
not
did.
current.
Right, I did.
Yes, they actually have a lot of taxidermy in said bar, which is actually kind of appropriate.
That is an interesting choice to make to go with that. The ass end of the buffalo.
The ass end of the buffalo. It's the ass end. Tail and all.
Well, you know, most people, they mount the
Buffalo,
front.
I don't
Right.
know.
Who needs
But
the
you
front?
know-
But you can get the back end for cheaper, you know.
I guess so, you know. You know, it'd be really funny, though, if you had, like, the head on one wall and on the
I've seen
the
people do that
opposite side,
before.
you had the
Yeah, I've
butt
seen
back
that
there.
before with other.
I want to say, I don't remember if it's there. I know they also still have like the original type of the ceiling that's very ornate.
like a tin ceiling. Yeah,
Ornate.
the,
Yeah, kind of that,
Yeah.
but it's
I'll
not
throw
tin.
all of
It
those.
almost looks like the
Yeah, I'll throw up a
porcelain style
picture,
or whatever. I took a few pictures of it. Has a very grand staircase when you walk in. One of those like Titanic-esque.
that's where the ghost is always walking down.
Of course
the
it is. That's why
staircase.
I never stepped foot on one of those stairs.
Really.
Nope. Took
I
a
will,
picture and then I was
here's a
out.
great
I thought you
picture.
were the skeptic.
I am the skeptic. I'm not standing on it though. I'm scared of it. I'm trying
That-
to approach it.
That is the old pewter or tin style ceiling
Yeah, the
tiles.
stamp ceiling. Yeah, the
Yes.
yeah.
And there's a great picture. It looks like some kind of boardroom right here. I'll throw it up in the video when
I like those.
we put the video up. I do too.
You
I
can
think
buy
they're
them
really
now
cool.
that they're actually plastic.
I saw that.
Just staple them up.
I see that. I think they're really cool. But yeah, I'll throw that up when we do the video up.
I want to see the buffalo butt.
I'm going to show you the buffalo butt. Just a minute. We can put this online too, but I did take a few pictures while I was there.
Okay, so let's talk about something else while you're looking for your buffalo butt.
Excuse you and your buffalo butt.
What's the bar called? Is it called Buffalo Butts?
Buffalo butt.
I think it's, what is the restaurant?
Buffalo Butt Bar and Grill.
I want to say.
I don't know what it is.
That is a very Texas thing to have.
Yeah, absolutely. So while we're looking and getting all on the internet here and going down that rabbit hole, did you guys see the Instagram that I sent to you? It's actually, I think it actually came from a TikTok.
Is that the Peepaw?
It's called the H3 Ranch. Is the restaurant.
Not 4-H, but
H3.
Interesting.
Yeah, H3. So, did you see that, Alyssa? Did you see the Instagram that I sent you?
Just now?
No.
Yes.
Babe. Did you see the Instagram I sent you?
That might be a horse's ass,
I
actually.
think I sent it to you earlier.
It might be a horse's ass.
And
yes, I just got it.
The one with the little boy?
Hold, please. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, where he's saying, Pawpaw.
Yeah, so I'll put that up there, but go ahead and watch it because I want to get your reaction, and then I'll cut it, put that in for the video portion of the podcast, just so people can see this, because that's insane.
It's called Buffalo Butt Beer. I'm pretty sure it's a buffalo.
Oh, yeah, that's
You're
that
really
is a bovine.
Stuck on that.
That is a
buffalo
bovine's
butt,
rear end.
aren't you?
That's not a horse
He
yet.
was stuck on it. I was showing him that picture. Calm your
I thought we were doing a podcast, and now we're searching for buffalo butt pictures.
Talking about the Stockyards Hotel picture that we're going to post on the website.
Did you get your nails done or claw sharpened? Just asking.
Calm your tits, buddy. What?
No, this is probably the best. This is the most interesting part. We just get off on a,
Actually, it is. So.
Yes, I saw the video on Instagram. He's like, "What are you talking to?" She said, "Who are you talking to, buddy?"
So I'm gonna cut that into
You watched it, yes?
I'll cut that into the podcast.
Yeah, I saw it earlier.
So that everybody can see this.
Cheese. Cheese. What you doing? What you see? What? What you see? Who you saying hi to? Who are you saying hi to? Dude, you need to stop that. You're freaking me out. Come on.
But we always do is it booze? Is it spirits? Is it paranormal, or is it bullshit? Booze and bullshit. And I'm going with this is booze.
That is legit because
that is
kids
legit.
see stuff. We've said that about Michael Park. We know
How
that.
you couldn't teach that kid that age to act that way?
I just wish the camera had seen
Of course, but
Pawpaw.
I wish the camera had seen Pawpaw as well. But that kid,
Straight up looked up at Pawpaw.
yeah,
Like he didn't just
said, hey,
looked up at Pawpaw.
And I'm
Who are you
like-
talking to? Pawpaw. Hi, Pawpaw.
and I'm like,
Wait, we have a listener story that's very similar to that as well.
His son.
Well, no, not just that, but there's also a listener story I read that's something like that.
did we? Which one is that? Oh, the one.
The one about the the one about the brother. The high.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
it would have been her
Uncle
uncle.
whatever.
Uncle Brian.
Mm-hmm,
We can cut that out too or whatever, but
Yeah.
yes, that would have been his name. But her uncle, where she said hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same idea.
yeah, absolutely.
Asleep. Kid is asleep.
my daughter claims, swears that she's seen my grandmother sitting on the edge of my mother's bed before.
Wow.
Really?
My mother claimed it too. that Mimo would visit her, and Mara swears up and down that she saw Mimo sitting on the edge of the bed. Mimo's what I called her. I've never seen it.
How old was Mara?
Not that young.
Really? You know, I mean,
This
I
was
think.
not that long ago.
Well, I think there are some people that obviously are more empaths, and then there are some. But these kids, though, it's a known thing that kids see.
There's no way that they took that kid and they trained him to say, "Okay, I want you to say this." Then when you go
Because he
here,
might have been 2.
maybe
Might have been 2.
I think it's kind of tall.
that was legit.
Probably 4.
My kid's kind of tall.
That kid
you
is
never
no
know she was
way
7.
That kid is 4 years old.
I can't judge anymore. I have to judge by height.
Yeah, that-
he's about this tall.
Yeah.
That kid's 2
About
years
this
old.
about this old.
That kid's a couple of years old. No more. Couldn't be.
Paw. I mean, he didn't.
I want to
speak.
say Mara was probably 10 or 12. I'm going to shoot that. We'll have to text her. And
She probably. If she's old enough to remember, then.
oh
we
no,
can
it
tell
wasn't that
was-
long. I
yeah.
mean, this is not. She might have even been in middle school.
Yeah. So the kids see
My
things.
daughter is almost 21 now. So
And you can-
this was less than 10 years ago.
And you can tell too. The mom is spooked.
We'll see. And so you remember me telling you the story, and you remember me telling you the story about Michael after my dad passed away. And Michael, for the longest, would talk to my dad, and my dad would come to visit him. It was so trippy because I'd hear him in the back room talking to him, and I'd walk back there and I said, "Hey, Bubba, who are you talking to?" He said, "I'm talking to Pawpaw." I go, "Oh, okay." I said, "Pawpaw comes to visit you?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah." He said, "But he doesn't." He said he stays on the top bunk because his feet don't touch the floor. I'm like, oh my God. You know. But he would talk to Pawpaw all the time.
And
just
how
like
old was
this little
he?
Kid. Year and a half when my dad died.
But how old was he during this?
Not much.
2 or 3?
Yeah, I mean, no, not even 3. He would have been 2-ish
Yeah.
max. Yeah.
So he saw Pawpaw
Yeah.
too. So I mean, maybe it's just Pawpaw's, like you know. But obviously, this kid is not scared.
No.
He says hi. He says hi more than once, and then Mom asks him, "Who are you talking to, buddy?" And he's like, "My Pawpaw." And
I
she's
don't
like,
think they're old enough to know to be freaked out by
they
it.
aren't
Well,
right,
they hadn't been taught that yet. And, you know, so
or even not even taught. But I think, well, I guess taught.
It,
Yeah,
it is.
it's taught.
They're taught. And just like with
That
Michael
when somebody
Park,
dies, they go away. They're not here.
the freakiest thing that ever happened with Michael Park and my dad, and that could be a whole episode, is just talking about stuff that happened after my dad passed. But one of the freakiest things was Michael Park calling me into the kitchen one day, and we had something happen to where we were worried about Michael Park's well-being because of spirit activity. And it really disturbed me because I knew my dad was kind of hanging around, you know. So when Michael Park called me in there, he said, "Daddy, come here." So I went in there. It's me and his mom both. And he goes, "That ghost is out there." I said, "He is," because we had talked about this, right? He said, "Yeah." Now, Michael had never used the word ghost. We had never said the word ghost in front of him because we didn't want him to be afraid of his pawpaw, right? He talked to pawpaw all the time. So he said, "That ghost is out there." He said, "And pawpaw told me to tell you if that ghost came back." So
It was probably someone who died in that hairpin turn there by the house.
yes. And I didn't tell all that story, but there's
Yeah, there's a little story, but
there's a hairpin turn right there that that there's multiple cars that have, I mean, from over the years. I mean, there's newer cars, there's older cars,
and they're still down there.
and they're still down there. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that the people died when they went off that
Ravine.
cliff. Yeah, that ravine. You know, into the ravine, and I'm like, so that's what I think it was. I think it was probably a ghost standing out there. "Hey, little boy," you know.
Maybe
Yeah,
doesn't even know that it's dead.
It may not.
Just trying to
Probably
say
not.
hi
That's
to the
what I
little
thought.
boy.
What he said, I see, probably doesn't know he's dead. He's just started to
Yep.
get that little boy. "Hey, boy, get him over there. Can you get me some help? You know, I've had a car
Yeah.
accident."
Yeah, absolutely.
But your dad was looking out for him.
Saying, "Hey,"
Didn't want him to get in the street.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to do another one where we talk about our own personal experiences and stuff. Because
I really want to do that.
you've got some stories. I've got some crazy.
And I'll just hang out for the comments.
You can do that.
I don't have a lot, but I did have an experience with you, and I'm very much open to it. I'm never going to say that person didn't have that happen,
Right.
obviously, but to actually say that I had it happen to me, no, thank the Lord, because I just don't know how I would have. But I was also I wouldn't say I was taught to fear it, but that it wasn't something that was talked about.
It depends on the activity. You kind of know the difference between something that you should be scared of and something that
I absolutely
that
agree.
is like, oh, hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
They're just here to hang out.
You're just here, versus something that,
An evil, almost, maybe.
well, the type of activity definitely.
I'm going to tell you that having experienced the ones that just show up and it's like, oh wow, that was my dad, or
Right.
That I just saw a ghost walk by, and having that presence of what I feel is evil and is
Some scary poltergeist shit.
yeah, I mean,
is a totally different experience.
it is a
than
totally different experience. It's a totally
benevolent
different feeling.
thing.
It's just like when you look at a dog and when you walk up and the dog is looking at you and he's happy to see you, then it's a sweet little puppy, But if you walk up and the dog is baring his teeth and he's got his head hung low, he's like, oh, he might not be good for me. And I think it's the same thing with.
And some things are just recordings of energy. What do you call it? When it's just a recording, basically a playback.
Oh yeah, like it's a non.
I'm brain farting right now. Is what that's referred to.
So if you don't know, we're recording this at.
It's late.
It's like 12:30 at night, so we're all tired.
Morning.
Morning, whatever. All right, so I think we've beat it up. I think we've talked about everything we can talk about. Let's talk about where we want everybody to go from here, because we want them to listen to the podcast.
Paranormal-spirits.com.
That's our website.
YouTubes.
We got YouTube's
All
videos
of
out
the
there.
tubes.
All the tubes. We got YouTubes. We got Instagrams. We got Twitters.
We got
TikToks. We got Facebook.
Booze with Benefits.
Mm-hmm. And so check us out. If you go to the website, there's links there to everything. Booze with Benefits is the name of the group that we've created on Facebook.
BOOS.
Yeah. BOOS, not the BOOZE.
Which was quite good tonight.
Which
Get the
was
green
quite
spot.
good.
Irish
We had-
whiskey.
She's the
Irish.
only one that has anything left in her glass.
Yeah.
Because I have self-control.
And there's that. All
I
right.
know how to nurse something.
Good night, folks.
Nighty-night.
Bye-bye.